All right. We're live. Listen, guys, happy Thursday. Man, listen, it's so busy. Like it's busy, but it's like crazy. But today is Thursday. Welcome to your weekly Experts University huddle where we jump in here and our aspiration every week, obviously, is to, hey, Vanya, good to see you. Good to see everyone coming in the room. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone has a notebook and scratched out just about 29 minutes now left to really just focus on your business and think about your business as we take our lunch break, right? We say bite-sized business development over lunch. For those who I have not had an opportunity to meet before, I mean, most of you know me, but in the off chance that you guys, someone in here does not know me, I am so very happy to virtually meet you. My name is Ray Cole Jackson. I'm a Florida real estate attorney. I'm also the founder and co-managing partner of Model Mortgage Experts, Title Experts, Transaction Experts, and your home for today, Experts University. It is so lovely to have everyone in the space. For most of you who are already here, if it's your first time here, the Experts University and all the Experts brand, we operate under the Experts Group umbrella. Every one of these companies, I tell you for sure, was developed for the purposes of serving realtors. Many of you know my story. Many of you know that I was first licensed as a realtor before I became an attorney. I've always been interested in real estate. I've always been interested in the transaction side. And by virtue of the companies that we built, Model Mortgage Experts, Title Experts, and Transaction Experts, and of course, Experts University, they're built based on what I needed, right? What I needed when I first got in the business. It's funny because I even think back to when I first got licensed in Florida as a realtor, and I had to learn the purchase and sale contract. And even that, having gone through law school, guess what? It's still the first time you're seeing 12 pages, right? And so I said, well, even me as an attorney, the broker, he said, well, here's the contract, sat me in the conference room and was like, have at it, right? And so me with my law school training, seeing how overwhelming that was for me. I mean, just reading 12 pages for the first time, can't imagine you guys had no interest in being an attorney. You're realtors for a reason. And so she said, right. And so, and so the contract class that I teach and everything that we put together is for the purposes of giving you guys a framework to understand this information good enough, well enough to provide a service to your clients to be confident to do good business. And so the Experts Group and all of its brands that fall up under the umbrella and the Experts University are for that purpose. I always tell you guys, if for some reason there's something that you're needing to see in one of our huddles, just let us know. Again, there's nothing that you have not that you're encountering that we have not. Is there a link to send him to join class? V, get with Pat to show her. You guys can actually invite people from right now. Like, you can send them the link. If there's people that are not on the call right now, if you go to the participant and send them the link, V, you can drop the link in the chat so that can be copied and sent to others. You guys can invite people on this call right now. So there you go, Pat. Again, we are Experts University is powered by, no, you're welcome. Absolutely. Share. Your friends will love you. I gotta tell you, I know my colleagues, when they tell me about a tool that they're using in business, I'm like, girl, thank you. Appreciate you. Owe you lunch. So if you guys have not had an opportunity to close with Title Experts, one of our brands, we welcome you to a Title Experts closing experience. We are an attorney managed firm providing a dedicated closing team, dedicated transaction coordination services if that's needed, and then regular status updates. It's part of one of our main features of our heightened service level. Our new contracts are sent to contracts@titleexperts.com. General questions are sent to closings@titleexperts.com, and we can be reached at our vanity number. All right. So today's discussions. Nice. Listings. Identifying untraditional ways to create listing inventory. Now, the theme for May, for all of our sessions this May, is spring strategy sessions. Summer is coming. Spring strategy session, summer is coming. And the reason why we named this spring strategy sessions, summer is coming, is because I want to ensure that you guys are fine-tuning and taking a close look at your business for the purposes of ensuring that you do not lose traction, you don't lose revenue, you don't burn out, right? Summer is coming. Summer is coming. Now, here's the deal. It's funny because for any of us who have kids, right? Summer means something else. Summer means a good portion of our days might be consumed with taking care of kids, going on, taking them on their summer trips, but our business does not stop, right? We don't want our business to stop. And so the purpose of our sessions during this May month is strategizing how are we going to attack the most important components of our business as we prepare to pivot into the summer. I want you guys to enjoy your business in the summer. It's going to be busy. I hope it's busy, but I hope it's busy. It's a manageable busy. And so the main components of your business that we want to hit during this month, you guys, is of course inventory. So listings, buyers. How are we going to make sure that we stay top of mind marketing with these prospects once we make contact? And then how are you going to make sure that you just don't get overwhelmed with all the things, right? So our discussions this month starts with today listings. We're going to talk about working with buyers and getting our buyers purchase ready. We're going to talk about how to make sure that our database is keeping us top of mind. You guys know the great majority of people that you work with, that you come in contact with, a good amount of them, I would say probably about 80 to 90% of them, they're not going to be ready to do business right now. That's just what it is. And that's why we have to produce so many leads. But you also don't want them to forget about you. And so I mention your database at least probably every other week. And I want you guys to make sure that that database is primed. That database is primed to keep you top of mind with your clients, including text messages, emails, when you're not able to make those phone calls, right? And then, like I mentioned, finally, in the month of May, we're going to discuss leverage, right? We're going to discuss where you should consider bringing in some support so that you can continue to focus on your highest and best use, right? So to start us off with May, listings, identify untraditional ways to create listing inventory. I want to look back to a session we did a couple months ago. Remember, we discussed identifying lead sources like a headhunter. Identifying lead sources like a headhunter. And we talked about how a headhunter is very specific. They're very strategic in what they're looking for, who they are going after, who they are trying to make contact with. And so anytime we have a discussion about our prospecting, which remember I told you guys, prospecting is very targeted, it's very specific. Marketing is very general, right? You can't really control whether or not someone sees that content or not, but prospecting you can, because you're getting right in front of them, right? And so in that last huddle, we talked about being a headhunter, being very intentional about saying, this is where I know I can get some results. And for all intents and purposes, sooner than later, right? So we talked about how your ability to identify and nurture a profitable lead source will affect the success of your business. I told you guys some months ago that I promise you, and I made a promise to myself, that I must ensure that 50% of our content is around marketing and lead gen. Because without that, what are we talking about? Right? We're just practice hitting. Well, we don't do that here, right? We want to close. We don't do dry runs here. And so I promised myself that 50% of my content 50% of my communication and my coaching to you guys would be around being very intentional about ensuring that you are in front of enough people to hit your income goals. When businesses go out of business, why do they go out of business? Nobody's interested. Nobody knows, or no one's interested in their service. How many of you guys heard today that Jenny Craig is going out of business? I said, whoa, that's huge. Jenny Craig? I feel like Jenny Craig has been around longer than me, but they're going out of business. I mean, are people not interested in losing weight anymore? Yes, they are. But what happened with Jenny Craig that they said, we're done. We can no longer operate this brand? I think they didn't pivot. I think they didn't watch the market. I think they didn't do what they needed to do to really just stay relevant. Comfortable. Cheetos. I'm gonna send them your name. No, Jenny, wait. We still got people eating Cheetos over here. Girl, listen, I had like La Granja for breakfast, so I'm right there with you. We need to call them, tell them don't go. We're sorry, Patty, right? Sorry, we do need you. They didn't pivot. And so along with that line of discussion, oh, don't say that. Who is that? The medication? Don't say that. Dave, is that the medication? Yes. Stop, Cassie. But I heard, listen, I don't want to get out track. I heard you blow up after you get off of that. But no, that's what I heard. Okay, well, I never tried it, so you guys tell me. That's terrible, Dave. Okay, anyway, let's stay on track. When you guys can, I don't know if we have something similar to Ozempic in for real estate, but listen, the deal is we will, every market shifts. Every market has something different, right? Keto, just what's the hot thing now? That's what we have to stay focused on. But at the end of the day, without business, is grand opening, grand closing. Grand opening, grand closing, right? So we must have leads, right? So we talked about that. Now, what's going on right now? You guys already know what's going on right now. Currently, low inventory in various markets. We know there is just like, oh my God, there's no homes available. Now, oddly enough, I spoke to a realtor yesterday, and she said that there was a pretty good amount of inventory in Port St. Lucie. I don't know if any of you are in Port St. Lucie and you're seeing that. She has a listing that she says has been on the market for a little while. So Port St. Lucie, she said, I'm over this inventory. Stephanie saying there is a good amount of inventory in Port St. Lucie. Patricia saying Port St. Lucie has a little glut. Of course not. Orlando is a hot market. But here's the deal. Most markets are seeing low inventory. So untraditional listing opportunities are critical right now. You're not seeing people that are willing to move, because if they move in this market, they have to what? Purchase in this market. And they have to purchase in this market by finding another home out of the inventory that's available. And they also have to deal with this whole, this cloud over financing, because they're saying, interest rates are high. And so if you are trying to stay in this business, you're going to have to find some other inventory sources, some other listing sources, right? Now, I preface this content with just giving you an idea and some options. And I say that because I do not want any one of you to just completely abandon the strategy that you had in place. Don't just completely abandon and go down this road. I would consider it. I would say, how can this add to my prospecting efforts right now while things are kind of slow in my normal with my normal lead sources, right? We're just kind of stretching our net a little bit, right? So what are some of the untraditional lead sources that honestly, you guys, they've always been there? And there are agents that have always mined this field, but now because the regular, I would say the more traditional lead sources are drying up, you're going to see more tapping into these other lead sources. What are they? Tax liens. Anyone paid attention to the tax liens and the tax assessor's office and properties that already have tax certificates recorded against them that will eventually be up for a tax deed sale? Those are distressed homeowners. Something's going on. Something's going on. Someone's not paying attention. Either they don't have the money, they're not in the property. At some point, if that tax lien is not addressed, the property is going to be sold anyway. Every day I'm looking for tax lien. Exactly. So Alex, it's funny. Are you in a position to, actually, Alex, I might have you do I know you're doing it because we talked about it. I might have you do a quick little primer on how you're doing that, because Alex and I talk about that, and we talked about how she's getting listings, how she's getting deals from looking for tax delinquent properties with their delinquent taxes. Properties with delinquent, and you'll be surprised, they are all around you. Now, one thing that I did not want to get into too specifically on our discussion today, because literally you guys are from one end of Florida to the next on this call. And so everybody's databases, their public records are going to be different. And so we're not going to get into it. So you're going to go here and click here because everybody's tax records are going to look different because we literally are in various counties and cities. But know that if you do a little bit of tapping, you can find a list of tax liens. I was working on a file. Oh my God, that was like 10 years ago. Here's another one, not even tax. How about delinquent water bills? And I'm saying, I had pages. It was pages of delinquent water. Water becomes a lien on the property. And I'm saying, how are people letting this water become a lien on the property? Clearly, they're not paying attention. Let's see what Stephanie. That's always good to see the church local police. Oh, wow. There you go. 16 people, 8 just relocated to Florida, 3 ready to buy. Check out the comments in the chat. So, unconventional lead sources. Foreclosure. How many of you have checked the foreclosure docket? Now that's easy. That's a gimme. How many of you have checked the foreclosure docket? Again, same concept. You're going to go on the court's docket. You can even go look at their foreclosure sale calendar. That's going to get you even closer to the ball because they already have a judgment. But you can go on the ones that have been filed and they're at what we call foreclosure status, even in your MLS. I haven't done this in a while. I'm pretty sure it's still there. Are you guys still able to see pre-foreclosures in the MLS? When you go into the MLS, there's a resource. But as an attorney, there you go. Yeah, foreclosure. So you would go on there. That's super easy. You know where the property is. They are going to be REO on the beaches MLS. REOs, unfortunately, REOs are already bank-owned properties. IMAP. There you go. That's the name, IMAP. I haven't been in IMAP in a while, but that's exactly where you find it, in IMAP. Thanks, Dave. So REOs are bank-owned properties, real estate owned. So if it says REO on the MLS, then that means it's already gone through the foreclosure process. But guys, in this market, for sure, there are going to be properties that have equity in them, and their mortgage balance is less than what the property is worth. Oh, and by the way, even in situations where, what if the property is not worth enough to cover the mortgage balance? What is that called? Short sale. That's a listing. That's listing inventory. So if not a foreclosure that can be sold with equity back to the owner, it can be a short sale. Guess what, guys? Either of those transactions are going to end in what? A commission check to you. So the foreclosure docket is definitely an untraditional lead source. Stephanie says she has one listed now. You have a short sale listed, Steph? There you go. There you go. Probate. Now, probate is, Steph, how'd you find your short sale before we move? How'd you find your short sale? Drop it in the chat for us. Probate, a referral. Look at that. There's going to be some short sales in this market. And remember, again, people are going into foreclosure not because they don't have the equity, they just fell asleep at the wheel, literally. Probate, there are public records that you can access for probate, but know that you won't be able to access them through the court dockets the same way you would foreclosure, because that is confidential filings. So your way in potentially with a probate is to reach out to a probate attorney. There used to be lists that come out when I lived in Miami. I think it was called the Business News or Daily News Journal or something, but hell, newspaper has gone away. So I don't even know if they still do that. But you would see the probate filings. Similarly with divorce, you cannot access those filings on the court docket. Even if you're able to pull up the case, you cannot see the complaint where you'll be able to see the property addresses. So you would do what? You would get into relationship and contact with divorce attorneys. Divorce attorneys for sure are going to have clients that are looking to sell their real estate. Many of them are also, Gerald Stewart is a great probate attorney. There you go. Oh, in Jacksonville, there you go. Many of them are also going to have clients that are looking to purchase. Okay. Absentee owners. What is an absentee owner? If you guys are driving around areas and you see a lot of mail in the mailbox, the grass may not necessarily be overgrown, but you can tell that it's not being maintained. There's leaves on the driveway that if anyone pulls in, they should be moved, right? If anyone has pulled into this driveway at least once or twice in the last few days, these leaves will be moved. You guys know how to go into the public records, put in a property address, and get the contact information of the owner, right? In your MLS, listings that expired. This doesn't even have to be expired listings from recently boarded up windows. Oh God, yes. All of that, boarded up windows. Like I said, mail hanging out of the mailbox. Trash cans are out 7 days a week. No one has ever taken the trash cans back in. I can tell you personally, when I first moved back to Florida, they call it, notice on the door, they call it driving for dollars. You guys ever heard that before, driving for dollars? I personally did this with an attorney colleague because we invested in real estate. And so we were literally just driving to this preferred area, and wherever we saw a home that appeared to be, again, having an absentee owner, we took down the property address and then we made contact. They call it driving for dollars, right? Expires, like I said, this doesn't have to be a deal that, a listing that recently expired. If you go on the MLS and maybe you look back 30, 60, 90 days, and you're calling on expired leads. Remember I told you guys, Elvia is on the call. Elvia dialed for us on expires, right, V? Elvia would get that expired list, call them, set the appointment on the real estate side. Same thing with for sale by owner. Though I like for sale by owners, specifically because these people have already raised their hand to say they want to sell. What are they trying to avoid? Commission. They're trying to avoid commission. They don't want to pay the commission. But they've already raised their hand to say they want to sell. You say, okay, if I bring a buyer, will you pay a commission? They say, yes, you get a commission agreement. Or if you do a presentation for them and you give them your listing presentation, say, okay, well, I know that you think that selling a home is just these 10 things, but here are the 150 other things that you haven't considered that are done when you put a home on the market. Alexandra says, how do we avoid the do not call list just in case the owner is on the list? How to avoid getting in trouble, and what speech do you recommend when you call? That is a very good question. I'm going to answer that question shortly. I don't want to miss this other thing. You guys should get in relationship with service vendors to property. So plumbers, RW that knock on the door. I don't know. Let's talk about the knock on the door. I would suggest that, but things have gotten crazy. So knock on the door, maybe. I don't know if you guys saw that the article through Inman about door knocking. It's unfortunately where we are right now. That used to be a very effective way. And if you still feel comfortable with that, then definitely do it. But let's just I don't know, let's just put some stuff in place if we're going to do that, right? Maybe we knock on the door and we clearly say realtor, or, you know, put something on your shirt or something, but it's just things are happening right now that we're in a crazy world. We're in a crazy world. And so we just have to be considerate of that, right? Plumbers, electricians, handymen, pool guys, definitely pool guys, because they're seeing your clients regularly. My pool guy came every week. Domestic service providers, so people that provide housekeeping services, you want to get a relationship with them so that they refer you to the people that they're in contact with. Okay. Now, once you've identified these sources, you need to identify an engagement strategy. How are you going to get in contact with them? How are you going to get in contact with these people? And so one of the main tools is you're going to need a resource to access phone numbers and possibly a dialer. Now, we use Mojo. That's what Elvia used when she dials for us. And she used a multi-line dialer. Were you running multi-lines, Elvia, or you just letting all the lines run?
Yeah, just a single line dialer.
I can't hear you for some reason. Say again. So the dialer, and you don't have to do, oh Jesus, she was triple dialer. You can do it, but you got to be focused. You cannot do that and do other things because it's dialing 3 numbers at one time. So when she says triple dialers, that's what she's saying. Look at me. I'm like, oh, Jesus, Elvia, I didn't know I was working you like that. But triple dialer. So it's dialing 3 numbers at one time. Once it picks up, she's going through the script with them to set the appointment. So that's called a triple dialer. Now, you don't have to use a triple dialer. You can set it to a double dialer or a single dialer where it's just dialing 1 number at a time. And when someone picks up, it will stop dialing the other numbers. You'll see
the real estate. If anybody wants to sell,
you'll have the
it's
information
me. If
about
anybody wants to sell their house, yeah.
Now I'll tell you to Alexandra's question about dialing those numbers. You will run that. That's part of what Mojo provides for you. They have a do not call scrubber, so you'll be able to see calls that have gone through. They're saying do not call. Also, they have what's called reverse lookup. So you're able to put in a property address to look up phone numbers. That's going to be your biggest challenge. Who's not muted? V, make sure everybody's muted. I'm not running. Go ahead, Joe. Joe has a question.
Like, how about I'm not stepping on your toes? I actually did the AI thing, and it was saying when it comes to do not call lists, like Red scrubs the numbers and lets you know which ones are do not call. But it was saying that generally speaking, realtors are exempt from it, that we can actually call people on the do not call list who have expressed a desire to sell their property. So I've been calling those on FSBOs and expireds. I don't do it when I'm circle prospecting because I haven't shown that desire. Is that the case? Would that be accurate?
So hold on one second. I don't know, for some reason, I'm like not hearing you guys on my laptop, but I can hear you on my other device. So doing double duty. I have not seen that specifically in that context, but I will say that generally where there is that framework around not making contact with someone, like you said, if they have raised their hand to say that they're interested in the service, or you've worked with them before, then there are some exceptions to that general rule, right? Again, I'll have to look back at I will have to look at it recently because we don't dial right now. V doesn't dial on listings for us right now. We're purely referral based. And V is working on other projects, but so I'm not privy to really specifically what that rule looks like right now in the realtor space. But I know, for example, in other spaces where there are similar restrictions, if that person has raised their hand and said, I'm interested in doing business with you, or I'm interested in that service, or you have a prior relationship with them, then that's an exception to that rule. All right, very good question. And as a matter of fact, V, let's get some clarity on that and then send it to the group. Write that down for us to look at it. Vanya, hold on one second. Let me. Go ahead and ask your question, Vanya.
Hi, it's not a question. I don't know if anything changed, but last year I was told by a coach if they even for sell by owners, if they on the do not call list, you can call if you have a buyer or if you want to preview the property for a buyer, but you cannot solicit their business. Unless if they reach out to you and they asking for a question or whatever, and then you can call them back because they search out information from you. So I don't know if anything changed this year. That's what I was told by a coach. He does cold calling a lot. So just be careful.
Gotcha. So like I said, it's something that we can definitely look into. That's not a hard question to have answered. Matter of fact, we can have that confirmed today, and then we'll send the email out to the group tomorrow to let you know what those parameters look like. But generally, like I mentioned, you can you'll see where there are exceptions, put it that way. So definitely do not call because you think you can't, because you're afraid of the do not call list. Just don't be haphazard about it, right? Turn this up. What else did I want to tell you guys about that? So reverse lookup, the multi-stream dialer, multi-line dialer, and circle prospecting, like Joe mentioned, are all resources that you are able to access and you should have as you are putting together your prospecting platform. Now, some of you already have this in place. Some of you are like, oof, I have none of that in place, or I don't even have a database for my phone number. So again, everybody's going to be in different places. And that's why we're doing these quick summer strategy sessions where we're saying, here are some of the things you should have, your tools you should already have in place when you're doing prospecting for listing. And then we're going to go down the line with buyers. Now, one thing that's not here, and I mean, I don't want to assume anything, is the script. Many of you are probably not on the phones because you're like, well, I'm really not sure what I'm going to say. You got to have a powerful script. Have a powerful script and also have some scripting practice, right? You're going to win your clients and win deals, win contracts. You're going to win closings because of your communication skills. And you're going to become more confident in your communication if you practice. If you practice. Okay. So the dialer is a very important resource for you. Now, the last thing, again, we don't want this to just be an open funnel. You guys make these contacts and you never go back to them. Every contact that you make is important. You are going to make sure that you drop them into your database and communicate with them accordingly. Communicate with them regularly, providing them with valuable and actionable information. What is actionable information? You guys have probably heard the term before, call to action. Not just read and say, oh, you know, I just closed or this just came on the market. What do you want them to do with that information by virtue of providing that information to them, right? Now, here's the information. Now, here's what it means for you. Here's what you should now do in response to that. All right. So again, you guys saw, even in our discussion today, we mentioned short sales. Many of you probably never thought of short sales. And by the way, they're not difficult. Do not say I'm not going to take a short sale listing because I've never done it before. Guess what? You have plenty of people, not only in the community that have negotiated short sales, but even a resource here. Call us because we can put you with a short sale negotiator. Do not lose the deal just because you have not done a short sale deal before. Do not lose the deal because someone says that a property is in probate and you've not worked with the property that's going through a probate proceeding before, right? Information changes situation. So again, in this spring strategy session, like they say, you want to list to last. You can manage 50 listings easier than you can manage 50 buyers. I'm just going to tell you, because listings at a certain point, yeah, Joe, listings at a certain point, to a certain extent, they sell themselves. So if I'm going to fight for a listing type, then I definitely want to be on the sales side, right? All of them equate to closings. All of them equate to closings. But I want you guys to not neglect to take a minute to look at your listing framework. Is my listing framework tight? And now in this market, because people are hesitant to move, where am I going to get my listings from? Where am I going to get my listings from? The last thing is, as you're working with buyers, don't forget, if you have a buyer that says, well, I would love to live in that community, because you have a buyer that is specifically interested in that community, you can legally and ethically go to that community and say, I have a buyer that's interested in purchasing in this community. Are you or any of your neighbors that you know of looking to sell? What's the worst thing that could happen? No one's interested in selling, but what's the best thing that can happen? You get contact information because you've given them a CMA. Now, all of a sudden, when they are ready to sell, you should be top of mind because, oh, by the way, now they're in your database and they're going to be hearing from you at least once every month. All right. So in closing, I want to remind you, there's a saying that pivoting is not plan B. It's part of the process. Pivoting is not plan B. It's part of the process. And so because now we have a challenge in acquiring traditional listings or listing in a traditional way, and now that we have to look at some of these other listing sources, that doesn't mean, oh, plan B, I got to do something different. I have to completely disrupt my business. It's part of the process. It's part of the process, right? Because when new construction picks up, are you going to not take your buyers to new construction? No, I mean, that's part of the process. At the end of the day, what are we trying to get to? We're trying to get to closing by any means necessary. And I'm sure that most of you are not married to one path to closing. I'm pretty sure many of you will take whatever path you need to take to get to closing that doesn't take you too far off the course. So again, today, as we wrap up, remember that pivoting is not plan B. You're not completely blowing up your business, but it's part of the process. It's part of me saying this particular source of business is not producing the amount of leads that I need to hit my income goals right now. So a part of that process is looking at adding another lead source. Is it short sales? Do I need to look at that foreclosure calendar? All right. Do I need to reach out to the probate attorneys that I know? Do I need to reach out to the divorce attorneys that I know? Do I need to carefully door knock in these communities where I know my buyers have interest? I haven't done it before. It's something that I knew I wanted to do. Maybe it's time now. Okay. And then again, once you implement that, guys, do not forget, once you make that contact, please get contact information, drop them in your database, and stay top of mind. All right. All right, guys, we're just a little more than a few minutes over our time, but that's our huddle. How do I feel about LinkedIn? It's funny. I don't use LinkedIn. I don't even use LinkedIn professionally. No, I don't. And I'm going to give you my, here's the coach's answer to LinkedIn. The strategic answer, because remember, this is spring strategy session. I'm not just not going to give you a generalization. All of our decisions are strategic. My strategic answer to you as to why I don't use LinkedIn, that's not my best business source. So if you found that LinkedIn is a great lead source for you, then yeah, you need to go to LinkedIn. Joe said his wife got hired from LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn is great for finding a job. I don't know how good it is for finding a listing. I just don't know. I haven't done it. And I don't know anyone who has. Okay, I'll go. I get LinkedIn notifications all the time. Y'all know me. I'm unconventional. I like to be with the cool kids. I didn't say there aren't cool kids on LinkedIn, so. Anywho, with that being said, Lawrence, I publish articles on LinkedIn, but it's not great for finding listings. I'm just saying, guys, listen, let me reiterate. Everything. It's a great hiring tool. There you go. Gail, if you figure out how to make LinkedIn a listing gold mine, you will come back on the next huddle and teach all of us. That's just what it's about. You guys, as the CEOs of your business and the main rainmakers of your business, everything has to be strategic. Everything has to have a specific and a purposeful outcome. Now, that does not mean you're not going to try things to see whether or not. You never know if you don't try. But before you put time, money, and effort into a strategy, you want to determine what is the likelihood of it being a great source for that business versus some other sources. For my closing and mortgage business, yeah, it could be. It could be. Listen, anything is possible. I tell you, anything is possible. But again, guys, just be strategic. Whatever lead source you decide to tackle, be strategic about it. Again, we want to be very pointed. We do sniper prospecting, not shotgun. Shotgun, whatever hits, it hits. Who knows what it'll hit? But a sniper, you know exactly what we're looking for. All right. All right, guys. 12:45. Go get some listings. I'm glad, Steph. This your first time? Yeah, who's that 561? Your name isn't on there. Who's that? Tell me who you are. If you signed up,